Pain is a mind thing. It's not a body thing. Chronic pain, it's a thought that needs to change. Where it makes a difference is whether you are being fueled by pain or whether you're being fueled by love and joy. I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I was completely mentally unstable. That kind of crisis moment was what made me decide that I wanted to take myself on this journey of healing. When you are in chronic stress, all of these systems are dramatically reduced over a very, very long time. And so that's why people get sick, they get tired.
What is actually the characteristic of a high achiever?
High achievers are people that attach their self-worth to their achievements. They usually have imposter syndrome. They're somebody that believes that everything that's happening is happening for you, not to you. And that mind shift can immediately take anybody from chronic stress, from survival to thrival. We want to move high achievers to high performers.
Hello everyone, welcome back to WellSome. In our weekly episode, we have now the pleasure to meet Arsalan. Welcome to WellSome.
Thank you, happy to be here.
Let me introduce you to my audience and my community. So the reason why I invited Arsalan on the podcast is because he is a wellness entrepreneur focused on human performance, and he's also a coach. He's helping people to manage their chronic stress and actually to be the best version of themselves physically and mentally. And Arsalan is also talking about everything that is concerned stress and how to manage potential burnout. So in this episode, we are going to dive deep into his story, how he built his amazing company, and how he's helping people managing their chronic stress and become the best version of themselves. Arsalan, welcome to WellSome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So I am so passionate about this topic because there's so much to say, and you're the OG of high performance. So I'm so happy to have you here. But first of all, I just want to know, how did you start and how did you get into this amazing world?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me.
Of course.
I'm very happy to be here. And from our initial conversations, I understand how passionate you are about this, and your journey is also pretty amazing.
Thank you.
I have been born and bred to be a high performer, to be honest with you. From day one, I was always, kind of Middle Eastern, Arabic background, education and upbringing. Parents always expected
a lot.
Number one, not a lot, more than a lot. You get kind of bred to adopt this perfectionist idea of oneself.
Yeah.
And so I was a professional athlete since I was young. I started since I was about 10. Taking squash was my sport.
Okay, interesting.
If you know anything about squash, it's probably the most intense sport in the world.
What makes it the most intense sport in the world? The
physical side of it. The physical side of it, and then of course the mental side of it that comes with it. But squash. A lot of people are talking about tennis, and I love tennis, don't get me wrong. Now I play tennis almost exclusively. But squash is very poorly represented in this world of performance and longevity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think for me, there was this research that came out that said tennis was the number one longevity sport in the world. Actually, after doing a lot of research, I believe squash should probably be in that conversation. It wasn't even in that conversation.
Interesting, yeah.
But squash is just as tough as tennis is. Tennis, mentally, you're always alone. You're always representing yourself on the court.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to speak to your coach. There are all these things around it that makes it a very singular sport. Mm-hmm. And squash is the same, but squash is in a room. And you don't hear anybody outside. You don't see anybody outside.
You're very isolated.
Yeah, you're in a glass box, basically, the whole time when you're at a very high level.
Yeah.
And, but it's also the number one sport in the world, as far as I know, for calories per minute. And you're basically, it's a lunging sport, right? So you're basically every point you're doing about 10 to 20 lunges, depending on how long the point is.
Yeah.
And then extend that to a best of 5 match, like tennis,
that's a lot,
Yeah, you're doing 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 lunges in a match.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it really intense. It's a very high intensity sport. Mm-hmm. And of course, the mental side comes with it. So I played that very early on. Funny thing is I played tennis and squash at the same time, but I grew up here.
Yeah.
And then my coaches sat me down and were like, you have to choose a sport.
Yeah.
because I got really good at both of them.
Yeah.
And I chose squash because of the AC. Because
Makes sense.
I was very young, not a very smart decision, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. And I played squash and I became one of the top players in the region. And so there was that side, and then there was education. Of course, like the way we're brought up is you come home with 99%. My father used to ask me, where did the 1% go?
Wow.
You know, instead of like, and I caught myself doing that with my daughter yesterday, and I'm like, because I teach conscious parenting.
Yeah.
And
like the moment where you say, I'm turning into my dad, or I'm turning into my mom.
Well, that's conscious parenting is all about that, actually.
Yeah.
That's the main goal of it, is that you don't parent as you are parented, and because that's unconscious. You try to be conscious about how you approach parenting. So that's something I'm very dear to my heart, and I teach it to all my clients and teach it outside of what we do also.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I went on a long way to answer your question.
No, it's fine. Actually, it's a very interesting side, because a lot of times, so when people are coming on the podcast, especially when they approach wellness, there is always something, either it's like a crisis in their life or a problem they faced, or maybe something that shaped them in order to become the next version of themselves. And I feel that sport played a big role for you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I talk about, which is like discipline, which we can get into how we view discipline and chronic stress. But that's something for a later conversation. So all of that growing up kind of got me really interested in human performance naturally from when I was really young.
Yeah.
How to eat, how to sleep, how to move, it was taught into me at a very young age.
Yeah.
And I was very blessed with amazing coaches, actually, that were very critical to how that idea was shaped in my mind. So, for example, I teach breathwork. I'm a breathwork teacher. And the first time I ever was taught breathwork, meditation, visualization, I was actually 14 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and you're talking, like, I was telling you I'm almost 50. So you're talking like a long time ago. It's like almost 35 years ago.
Yeah.
Where I was playing in the final of the UAE Junior Championship, actually. And for the first time, they brought somebody from outside to play. And I had to play this person. And I met him at the final. And I was getting really anxious, and I wasn't used to that feeling. I never really felt it. And so my coach sat me down and asked me to breathe and meditate and visualize the game, visualize the match. And I very clearly remember that moment, very, very clearly, walking into the court and how I felt before and after.
Yeah.
And how I performed in that match was a pivotal moment for me. To understand how much your mind can play games with you when at a very early age. So I also used to do a lot of free diving and spearfishing because we grew up on the beach.
Yeah.
And so I learned a lot of these things about breath work and calming the nervous system down, calming your mind down at a very early age. So all of these little components of performance that we speak about were all kind of shaped in me from a pretty early age.
And I assume that even this trait of performing reflected also in your work. So I mean, you're an entrepreneur, so I guess also you were pushing yourself even on a business side, correct?
Yeah. So after I finished school here, I went to university in the States. There also I played kind of at the highest level. I played volleyball, actually, and beach volleyball over there, which was my second sport. And then I came back, and at that point, my father and my brother, who are the eldest men in the family, lost their jobs almost simultaneously within 1 year. And I was supposed to rise up to the occasion and support the family. So from that moment onwards, it was all about survival. You know, although I went to art school, a lot of people don't know this. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. I went to a very kind of hippie-ish art school where, you know, and I expected to go back to the States because that was in the United States. And then I came back here and my dad was like, you're not going back. You're going to start working and you're going to start providing for the family. So immediately my life turned upside down, literally after that conversation we had. And so I got my first job in the airport in Abu Dhabi. And from the bottom of the bottom part of the airport, but within about 5 years, I was like almost number 2 in the airport. I was part of the privatization team that privatized the airport, and I was part of the setup of Etihad on the cargo side. And then I went to the Department of Transport, and I was a senior advisor to the chairman over there. And that was all before the age of 30. And then afterwards, I kind of couldn't work for the government anymore, so I went into multinationals. And
so you were scaling.
I was scaling very quickly.
Yeah.
But the law of the universe says what goes up quick goes down quick, right? So with all of the scaling, there were all these kind of micro burnouts that I had all throughout. But when you're young, you kind of muscle through. And as I said, I was in survival mode. There was no other choice but to get back up and do things.
Yeah.
And that kind of repeated into when I told you I was 40 and I had the biggest kind of burnout.
Yeah.
And
talking about burnout, because when we burn out, as we said at the beginning, this is something that doesn't appear in one night. It's not overnight. Oh, I have a burnout. It's something that it's building up for either months or years. And tell me your story with burnout, and how did you overcome your burnout?
So when I was about 36 years old, I left the multinational world. My wife, who was in California for 6 years, we had a long distance marriage, finished her PhD, came back and was like, you should take a break.
Yeah.
So my mindset, instead of taking a break, because I was really burnt out by then already, right? Instead of taking a break, I decided to start doing triathlons. And then while doing
that's very different from taking a break. Yeah,
because my mind doesn't understand. It didn't understand at that time. What does taking a break mean, or even holding that in a place where it is actually important for you? You know,
in a place of
it was
peace,
a sign of weakness.
Yeah,
if you're not doing anything, if you're not achieving anything, if you're not performing, the achievement is. That's why we say in Ascension we work with high achievers, right? And we define high achievers are people that attach their self-worth to their achievements. And as I told you, from my childhood was all about my achievements, whole life. My whole life was about achievements.
Yeah.
As all high achievers are. And so when I was sitting with myself thinking I should take a break, let alone also with the idea, the fact that, you know, with the multinationals, when I left, I was made redundant. I was fired. So there was all of this like emotional kind of trauma happening that informed this decision to do the triathlons, because I needed to prove something to myself and to everybody else. And so I did that for about 5 years exclusively. I didn't do anything. I was so blessed that my wife supports my crazy thoughts and ideas. And so I wanted to be the first Yemeni Ironman when I heard that there was no Yemeni Ironman. So I got into Ironman. And then after the race in Ironman, I was about 40. I had that biggest burnout that I was talking to you about. And that basically, the way it looked was I basically completely shut down emotionally, physically. I was diagnosed with adrenal fatigue. I got sick for like 6 months nonstop. Like every time I was recovering, I was getting sick again. And the kind of viruses were getting worse and worse and worse that I was picking up. I was completely mentally unstable. Had a lot of suicidal thoughts and stuff like that were going on at that moment. And that kind of crisis moment was what basically made me decide that I wanted to take myself on this journey of healing. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, all of it needed to kind of come to that point.
So you were talking about the symptoms, and those are very common symptoms. Symptoms of like physical symptoms like fatigue, brain fog, be mentally very unstable and out of balance, or suicidal thoughts. This is something that it's very connected to burnout. When it comes to the root cause of your burnout, do you think that you were still on the survival mode that you were when you started this whole journey? why did you let yourself into the burnout? So we actually give an example to the community and maybe made them realize where actually burnout is coming from.
I'm going to tell you scientifically
Yeah.
what actually happens when you're in survival mode. So survival mode is basically something that is built into you for you to survive very, very dangerous crisis or situations, right? And in nature, when we observe it, it's not supposed to last more than a few hours. And then you're supposed to be able to downregulate that system into thrival mode, right? Or rest and digest, as they call it scientifically, right? So why we call it chronic stress and why I don't call it burnout is because it is basically, if you imagine a pendulum between 0 to 10, 0 is your neutral mode, like you're in, from your nervous system is a neutral zone, and then 10 is extreme angular. Chronic stress, by our definition, is when you are like at 4 or 5 for a very, very, long time, right? And it's like simmering something very slowly. You know, you're not boiling it, you are simmering. Actually, for me, it's better that you boil and go back down very quickly, learn that skill, rather than stay in a 4 or 5 for a very long time, because that's what survival mode is.
Also, this is the zone where a lot of diseases happen, the chronic diseases that everyone is talking about.
So what happens in the body when you're in survival mode is, if you can imagine you're in a jungle and you're being attacked by an animal, what happens is physiologically you are switched into survival mode. And what that means is all the vital organs, the systems in the body that are there for you to thrive, switch off. And all the systems that are there for you to survive, switch on. Some of the things are like your immune system, your digestive system, your respiratory system kicks up, but your immune system, your digestive system, it almost switches off. You know, your reproductive system, all of these things that are meant for you to thrive, switch off, because at the moment you're facing this tiger or whatever that's coming to attack you, right? Now, when you are in chronic stress, all of these systems are dramatically reduced over a very, very long time. And so that's why people get sick, they get tired, they can't conceive, they have gut problems,
autoimmune diseases.
All of that stuff comes from the fact that you are in survival mode for a very, very, very long time.
And that's so true. My question is, I also experienced burnout, so I can see myself in the words that you're explaining. Is there any boomerang effect after the burnout? Because we talked about, you know, the journey and how you can lead into burnout, and then you get into a moment where you feel physical pain, mentally you're unstable, and as it happened to you, you literally switched off. When it comes to healing, what does it take for you to heal from a burnout?
I don't have all the answers because I'm still learning, as far as my physiotherapist and my trainer today made me aware. I think it's a life journey, especially for people that are high achievers like me and at the higher scale of the high achievement personality. It's a lifelong thing, right? I've been doing it for 40 years until I discovered that I was doing it.
But can I tell you something before you explain to me how can you recover from burnout? I really like the fact that you were very honest about saying it's something that you have to manage, especially if you're a high achiever, rather than something that, I switch it off, I just breathe and everything is going to be fine forever. Because in my perspective, especially if you're a high achiever or if you're a successful person with a lot of responsibilities, or you're just under stress all the time because of your job or your family or whatever, people who tells me exactly, no, everything is going to be fine, it's a matter of balance, is this and that. Can I be honest? I don't believe in this. I believe that there's a way of managing things, and I believe that mental health is important, as we spoke in the last episode actually of WellSome about mental health and how you can integrate it in your life as an entrepreneur. But I truly believe that this is you have to manage it. You have to really manage the stress instead of saying, no, I avoid it completely, because I think this is impossible.
Yeah. Look, I personally, one of the things we teach is a non-judgment perspective to life, okay? And I believe that there are people come in different shapes and forms and different behavior patterns and different upbringings and, different programs, different DNAs. And so everybody is different. I specialize in the high achiever personality.
Yeah.
And the high achiever personality, you cannot tell them balance. They don't understand balance.
Yeah.
Right? To me, balance, sorry for my language, but sounds like bullcrap. You know, it's not true. And everybody that talks to me about balance, I'm like, it doesn't work for me. Like, don't talk to me about balance. I want to talk about discipline. I want to talk about work. I want to talk about ethics. I want to work about all of these things that appeal to my personality.
Yeah.
You cannot take my personality away from this. You need to fit it into a framework that works for me, because without it, I'm lost. I cannot do this kumbaya. Trust me, I did. I tried. If I tell you the things I've done in my life to be able to reach that Zen mode where people talk about where you're not doing anything, it just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
All respect to the people that can, but I work with people that cannot. And, I work with CEOs, founders, professional athletes, musicians, artists, people that are very driven and very passionate about what they do.
Yeah.
Right? And you cannot tell them switch off that passion. It's not possible. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to. On the contrary, I think these people are changing the world. So why should we calm that energy down?
Yeah.
Where it makes a difference is whether you are being fueled by pain or whether you're being fueled by love and joy. This is a spiritual path for a high achiever.
Tell me more about it.
Right?
I'm curious.
So I'll give you an example of myself, because it's much easier just to say it in a story, right? I was not accepted and loved, or at least that's how I felt, right? Or what I learned as a child and as an adult, if I wasn't achieving stuff, right? So my sense of achievement came from pain, right? Came from fear of rejection, fear of not being loved, shame, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
And that is rocket fuel, right? It is very, very powerful. Most of the people that I work with that are on top of the pyramid are people that are fueled by an energy that is unstoppable.
Yeah.
They can run through walls, right? But guess what happens when you run through walls? One wall, you're going to feel okay. Second wall, you're going to feel okay. As you get older and older, the walls aren't going to be that easy to break down, and you're going to start breaking down. As opposed to an energy that's driven by love, by joy, by gratitude, by contentment, by all of these things that we try to shift our clients to, which is sustainable fuel, right? And by all means, all high achievers have to go through this journey, right? But if you want to be sustainable in your old age, if you want to be sustainable in the time where you are at the prime, right, and not burn out, you need to switch to that. And that switch is a spiritual shift. It's a mental shift. That's why I'm a master hypnotist and a master NLP practitioner and all of that, because I came to the point where I realized that. And I was like, wow, I'm consistently burning out because I'm consistently doing things that I don't want to do. I never wanted to do triathlon. I never wanted to do Ironman. It was just an achievement that I looked at and I was like, wow, I never thought about it from, is this going to be joyful? I used to ride a bicycle in Al Qudra for 3-4 hours by myself. My coach was insane. He'd tell me no music. So I'd be in Al Qudra by myself in the middle of the desert every day for 5 years.
Wow.
And I hated every single moment.
Wow.
That's the kind of drive I had. And that's the kind of drive the high echelon of high achievers have. They don't care. There's a carrot over there. They're going to get to that carrot no matter what comes in their way. It doesn't matter. They're going to bulldozer their way. And that's dangerous because I know where that's going to lead. It's going to lead to where I was when I was 40 with the breakdown. And so it is very, very important to distinguish what you're being driven by. The Ascension method that I told you about, which is our proprietary method, before it also is an evolution, right? It's constantly in evolution. Before it was all about how you eat, how you sleep, how you how you rest and recover. It was a very physical thing.
Yeah.
And then eventually, after the Ironman breakdown, because that's what I was doing then, I was like sitting in bed thinking, I'm a physical specimen. I was 5-6% fat. I ate 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. I spent about God knows how many calories a day. I trained 2 or 3 times a day. I was sleeping properly, waking up properly. I had no life. I didn't drink a single drop of alcohol. I didn't eat outside of the thing I built for myself. And I crashed and burned.
Wow.
And that moment I was like, everything I know, everything I've ever learned, everything I've ever read, and everything that got me to this point led me to the point where there's more.
There's more
to this puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I discovered all of the stuff with the mind and the subconscious programming and how you are unconscious or conscious, and teaching myself to live a conscious lifestyle.
Yeah, it's so interesting that I always say this in every episode, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to be repetitive, but it's so true that it doesn't matter who's sitting in front of me. Can be a person who's talking about finance, a person who's talking about gut health. Every time I have a podcast with someone, what comes out doesn't matter the topic, is that the power of the mind. The power of the mind, I feel that it's going to be something that even in the future, when it comes to wellness, it will be a very hot topic, because we can do everything that we put our mind in. And that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
On the contrary, when you have a burnout, I assume that also your mind is playing bad tricks to you.
Yeah.
So we were talking about your, let's say, healing journey, and you're still on a, let's say, healing journey yourself to just find, your way to come out of the burnout. So what is the number one, if you have to name one, it can be a therapy, can be like a practice that really helped you to shift this mindset and say, I'm not going to operate from survival. I'm going to rewind my story.
Very good question. And I'm going to take a moment.
You have to. There are plenty.
I will tell you the number one concept, and it's a mindset shift that requires you to completely change the way you think about your human experience in general. And that's the concept of cause and effect.
Yeah.
Right? At the top of the pyramid of what we teach is cause and effect. And I'll tell you what it is in a moment, but it's so powerful that my clients that have been with me for a very, very long time, this is programmed into them to be almost like a shift whenever I mention it. Because if they come and talk to me about the problem and they say they're facing this problem and blah, 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 and this is happening to them and somebody's doing this to them and blah, 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 I only ask them one question. Are you in effect or are you in cause?
Interesting.
And I always hear a pause for a moment.
What does it mean, actually?
I'll tell you now. So if you are an effect in life, which is what most people that are struggling with chronic stress are, these are people that are an effect of life. So life is affecting them. So a lot of people call it...
Kind of like a victim of life?
Yes. A lot of people call it victim mode. I don't like using the word victim because it triggers people. Because a lot of people are really victims, right? And you can't tell them you have a victim mindset. Yeah,
it's not the best.
Especially when you're working with me on a very subconscious level, and there are people that are victims of some really horrible stuff that that you talk about. So I don't use that terminology. But if you're an effect of life, you are an extremely disempowered person, because what you're doing is you're taking your power and you're giving it away to the circumstances. You're giving it away to a person. You're giving it away to an event. If you're in an abusive relationship, right?
Yeah.
And you are an effect of this relationship, what you're doing is you're taking your power and you're handing it over to the abuser and telling him you have power over me.
Yeah.
On the other side, if you're in cause, you're somebody that is empowered. You're somebody that believes that everything that's happening is happening for you, not to you, right? And that mind shift can immediately take anybody from chronic stress, from survival to thrival, immediately.
Wow.
Because
that's
here,
powerful.
there is gratitude, right?
Yeah.
There's all these things that a lot of the spiritualists are talking about.
There's acceptance as well.
Acceptance.
Yeah.
There is contentment. You know, there's no judgment
Yeah.
of oneself or anything else.
Yeah.
Because you have to put in yourself as an observer of yourself and an
Yeah.
observer of your thoughts. And you have to look at them as something, you have to look at the events as something that's happening for you.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, you're learning something from it.
Yeah.
That is a spiritual path that is so powerful that if you shift yourself to just doing that,
Yeah.
it can dramatically change your life. And if you believe in energy, you believe in spirituality, you believe in all these things, once you shift your energy to that, good things start happening automatically,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
the bad things start going away automatically.
True.
Right? And it's, for me, that is probably, I bet you probably thought it was something else, but for me, it is absolutely, like you said, I got to a point where I realized it's mind over body, always. Right? And I
Yeah.
told you before we started this, I'm going through this right now. I have an
Yeah.
injury in my back and my hips, and I kind of lost myself in my emotions and my thoughts.
Yeah.
And my coach today sat me down and told me, listen, you need to listen to yourself talk,
Yeah.
you know, because you're not talking very positively about your body right
Yeah.
now, you know?
Yeah.
And I swear to you, like I was doing my physiotherapy today and I was like, I'm just going to think the way, I'm going to completely change the way I think.
Yeah.
And as soon as I changed the way I thought, I started moving a lot more easily. And, you know, all of a sudden it went away.
Yeah.
Like literally. As soon as I think
You
about it.
believe it, how powerful is
Absolutely.
how powerful our thoughts are when it comes to, even when it comes to recovery. Because if you are focused on the pain and you only think about the pain, it will never go away, because where you focus, it will increase and will grow.
Yeah.
And then if you shift your focus and you see the pain in an objective way, but you shift it and you are positive, you will recover actually faster.
Yeah.
That's why also they're saying that when you have cancer, it's very, very powerful for you to keep a positive mindset, because it can help the recovery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, I mean, that's what a lot of people don't understand or fail to focus on consciously, is that pain is not processed in the body. You don't experience
What do
pain
you
in the body. You
mean?
experience pain in your head. In your mind.
Wait. Explain me.
Pain is a mind thing. It's not a body thing.
Okay, this is huge, actually.
Yeah. Look, I'll give you an example. Okay.
Yeah.
If you have a cup, one of my teachers taught me this.
Yeah.
Right? If you have a cup of really boiling water, okay, and you put your finger in the cup, what happens?
I mean, you get eventually burned.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I mean, no.
I mean,
You're not gonna keep your finger
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
But what's gonna happen is,
I mean,
you're not gonna want to get burned.
Yeah.
You're gonna feel pain.
Pain, yeah.
And you're gonna remove your hand.
Yeah.
Right? Where did that pain come from? What's the process?
I mean, from me wanting to put the finger in
Yep.
it, right?
Yes, but what's the process? So the process is, your finger goes in this.
Yeah.
Your finger and your skin has temperature gauges and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Doesn't feel pain, right?
Yeah.
It sends a message to the mind, and the mind says, there's danger.
Yeah.
Move out of there now.
So it's a signal more than pain.
It's a signal.
I see. Yeah.
So it is a signal from the mind to whatever you're experiencing pain, telling you that something needs to change.
Wow. Yeah, that's a
Right?
very good perspective.
Yeah. And most of the time, chronic pain, it's a thought that needs to change.
Oof. You know that we need another podcast only for this
Sure.
topic, because this is super huge.
Yeah.
But
You can't imagine the amount of time, sorry, I'll tell you, you can't imagine the amounts of time we're working on somebody's thought about something.
Yeah.
Okay? And something heals.
Yeah.
It's happened in my practice now. I've been doing this for 10 years. It's happened regularly.
Wow.
I've had people being able to conceive that haven't been able to conceive for the longest time. I mean, 2 of my recent clients just got pregnant. you know?
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't on purpose.
Yeah.
It was just like, it was a side thing, you
Yeah.
know? I had a client that was a DJ that had tinnitus, and his tinnitus went away.
Yeah.
Although he's tried everything in this world. He's even went to shamans, like in the middle of the jungles, to be able to heal, and it hasn't gone away.
Wow.
And we weren't working on this.
Yeah.
You know, we're working on a limiting belief, or we're working on something like that, or a thought, or a story they've been telling themselves their whole lives, and it goes away, and it's.
That's so fascinating and so powerful, and I feel that this is another window that it's meant to be open, especially in the future.
Absolutely.
When it comes to healing and everything.
Absolutely.
Now moving to your profession and your job and your purpose, I would say. You said that you focus on high achievers, which is, I think, a very specific type of personality. You know, as you said, very driven. Doesn't matter what's happening, they just want to go and get it. So what is actually the characteristic of a high achiever?
High achievers, by definition, are people that are driven by their achievements.
Yeah.
And so naturally, what they are is they're usually perfectionists. They usually suffer from, I forgot what the name of this syndrome. The syndrome of somebody that doesn't believe they're really good. What is it called? Imposter.
Yeah.
They usually have imposter syndrome in everything they do.
Yeah.
Naturally, because of the way I explained it. And I can explain all of these things to
Yeah.
you, why they happen. They usually procrastinate a lot.
Procrastinate, yeah.
They're usually
Okay.
procrastinators. They're usually insomniacs, or they define themselves as night owls.
Yeah.
They're usually extremely intense in their emotions and in the way they portray their emotions. And there's so much more.
Yeah.
They're usually in some sort of chronic pain somewhere. And they're usually people that are really struggling in silence. Extremely. Especially the men.
Yeah.
It just, all of this comes naturally to their type of personality.
Do you see a difference between a woman who's a high achiever and a man? Maybe this emotional side is playing.
Not so much. I think it is their receptiveness to change. That aspect. You know, sit with a man and tell them, go to the gym, go do this, go do that. Yes, I'll do that, do that. Sit them down and try to talk to them about their emotions.
And they freeze.
There's a wall.
Yeah.
Right? That it's definitely a weakness if you drop that
wall.
defense down. You know? With women, I find that to be a lot easier.
Okay.
I'm not going to say it's always very easy, because, you know, it's a spectrum.
Of course,
high
it depends
achievers.
on
There are some
people to people.
Yes, there are some high achiever women that are very, actually even more than some of the men I had, that are completely like caged, because in order for them to succeed in life, they had to basically embrace their masculine energy and to an extreme, right? And so they exemplify the high achiever man through their actions and through their survival mode that they had to go through.
Yeah, makes sense.
So it's not a clear cut, but I'll say the majority of women that are not at the extreme are much easier to deal with when it comes to the emotional side.
And you said that you decided, because I want to talk now a little bit about how you help this high achiever to manage their stress and get the result that they want, and also support them when it comes to recovery and everything. So what I'm really impressed is that, first of all, that you choose a niche that really represents you. So I feel that maybe you can coach them better because you went through some of the things that you're coaching yourself. But how do you guide us? Do you guide us? Because I feel I'm an high achiever as well, and everything that you listed, especially the insomnia part, it's literally like I can see myself in it. How do you guide your client during your coaching sessions? What is your method, I would say?
So we have two proprietary methods. They're very clear. One is called the Ascension method. One is called the 10 Pillars of Life Mastery. The 10 Pillars of Life Mastery exist within the Ascension method. It's kind of the working method. And the The Ascension method is basically kind of the philosophical side of how we do things. And funny enough, the Ascension method grew in inverse. So started with the body, and then kind of went into the mind, then went into spirituality. And, and
it's a very holistic approach.
Yes. So we are absolutely harnessing the idea of discipline. We believe that there is no high performance, and especially ultra high performance, without being extremely disciplined in your life. Doesn't matter. Think about all the people that are the best in what they do, whether they're CEOs, whether they're athletes, even monks, sheikhs, anybody. They're very, very disciplined people.
Yeah.
And you go speak to a monk or you go speak to a sheikh, they're very calm, they have a very peaceful energy about them. But deep down inside, they're very, very disciplined. They wake up early in the morning, they pray, they make sure they have all their things set, they eat right, they sleep right, whatever, all of that. They manage their life, they hold themselves to a very high pedestal, right? And in order for you to be a high achiever and graduate to becoming a high performer, you need to be extremely disciplined.
Because there's a difference between the two. A high achiever and a high performer.
Yes. We want to move high achievers to high performers.
What's the
high
difference?
Achievers, high performers.
Yeah. What's the difference?
High achievers are people that are very into their, and like believing that they are attached to their achievements. High performers are people that perform for the joy of the performance.
Okay. Back to the concept that we explained at the beginning of the podcast.
Yes.
You operate from fear, or either you operate from joy.
Yes.
Okay.
High performers are people that enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
Are people that are in love with the work, in love with the discipline. You know?
Yeah.
And that comes from them going back to the Ascension method. In order for you to be able to shift to that, that's a mindset shift.
Yeah.
That's a mind shift, not a mindset shift, because mindset is not the definition we work with. That's an unconscious and subconscious shift that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So you need to basically understand why you were driven to do what you were doing when you were young, and shift that from being something that is negative to something that's positive. And
this is first step.
This is first step.
Yeah.
Right? After that comes the discipline part, where we administer the 10 pillars of life mastery. And that's basically every single pillar in your life that could be causing you chronic stress, right? We have an assessment, we do the assessment, and then we see what comes out of that.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to have a pillar. I mean, even me, that I'm like kind of absolutely disciplined in my life, every time I take the test, a pillar emerges. Where it's like, okay, this is falling behind, you need to pay attention to it. And I take this test almost every 3 months.
Pillars, I assume it can be health, friendship, relationship. So those are the pillars.
So pillars, there are three
the pillars
primary,
of life,
Yeah, there are three primary ones, which is nutrition, sleep and recovery, and movement and exercise.
Yeah.
And then there are 7 others that are not primary.
Yeah.
Right? So your career, spirituality is one of them. Knowledge and development.
Yeah.
10 of them.
Yeah.
I don't remember them most of the time.
Yeah.
I have to check my memory.
Yeah.
But there are 10 of them. Like one of them is, for example, joy.
Yeah.
You know, fun and play, we call it. So that's the last one I added to the 10.
Yeah.
You know? And again, this is not a defined thing. It started with 3 pillars, became 5 pillars, became
this
7
is something
pillars.
you can,
it's evolving, right? As I evolve and as I practice with people and find things out, I'm not attached to these theories. It's, you know, it's just...
It's fluid.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah.
So fun and play, for example, was the last one that got discovered for me, for myself. And I just discovered that this, like, too much discipline was causing me to not have joy in anything, you know? And so I was like, I need to be disciplined about joy.
Yeah.
And how can I bring that discipline into joy? People hear me talk about the things and they think I'm crazy.
Yeah.
But if you look at my schedule, right, you'll understand why I have to schedule fun and play in. So now, about 2 years ago when I discovered this, I decided every year I'm going to pick 2 things that I'm going to do absolutely out of joy. And the key thing about it is to not attach it to an achievement, right? So I play tennis now, and I kind of vowed to myself that I'm not going to participate in tournaments. I'm not going to play matches against anybody. I'm just going to play tennis for fun.
Yeah.
So I play with my coach. I found a coach that is amazing. He laughs and he has fun. And both of us have fun. We laugh and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Because my athlete mind does not want to do that.
Yeah.
My athlete mind wants to take it seriously. The other thing is I decided to learn a musical instrument. So I play the drums, and now I'm starting to dabble with the piano and stuff.
Yeah.
So that stuff, I also just play drums by myself at home.
Love it.
You know, I don't even want to be in a band. I don't even want to do any of that stuff because I know where that's going to take me.
Yeah.
You know?
I think a lot of high achievers as well, they struggle with finding a hobby that doesn't turn into a company, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. That's exactly what I'm telling you. You know, I acknowledge that because I realize that every time I get into a hobby, it doesn't become a hobby anymore.
Yeah.
I want to start it.
I want to start a business. I want to win this. I want to this. Yeah.
So it's at the end of the day, it's a conscious internal journey internally to understand what you are as a high achiever and what makes you click. And as you said, picked it up amazingly, actually. It's constant work. That's what I'm saying. It's discipline.
Yeah.
It's discipline. You have to be disciplined to rest. You have to be disciplined to sleep. You have to be disciplined to do all of these things. Because if you're not, guess what? You're going to burn out. As a high achiever, you will, guaranteed.
Yeah.
So other than teaching all of these philosophies and teaching all of that, it's the framework and how can you make it fit into your life and how can you create schedules and how can you talk to your friends about it, talk to your partner about it, talk to your kids about it and make them understand this is who you are.
Yeah.
And create that acceptance around you also is also a journey.
Yeah. So you said we started from, first of all, shifting from high achiever to high performance.
Yes.
Second is actually to look at your pillars and understand if there is an imbalance or where you want to focus your energy to.
Yes.
Third, I guess, is building your discipline and managing your time, which is something that it's a huge concept.
That takes the longest time, actually. So I work with people almost 4 to 6 months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's 10 pillars, man. I'm involved in everything. There's relationships.
And makes sense because it takes time to build a new identity, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It infiltrates everything. Who you are infiltrates every single decision and choice and behavior that you make.
Yeah.
And so especially when you do deep work like hypnosis and NLP and stuff like that, you're shifting people at the identity level, at the subconscious level. And so sometimes they go out in life and they're like, whoa, like,
what is
this? I don't know how to manage the situation. I don't know what to do. My relationships at home, my wife, my partner, my kids, like, I hear a lot about these things. I believe in this concept, but I don't know how to actually make it work, And so we're there every day, every hour sometimes. I'm constantly in my clients' lives.
Yeah. And
then
you
afterwards,
use also practices like hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's at the beginning. When we're shifting the identity from high achiever to high performer. Sometimes we need it, sometimes we don't.
Yeah.
I'm starting to rediscover that with time, I'm starting to not need it as much. I feel like it's become very conversational. I think with practice, I feel like I hypnotize people just by speaking to them.
Yeah.
And I started noticing that there was a lot of shifts in people's lives without even me going into that depth. Because, if you make them have that aha moment,
of course,
that's what it is.
Sometimes you just need to connect the dots as well.
Yes, absolutely. Allow them to kind of connect the dots, and then they come to this realization, and they can't unsee it.
Yeah.
Once you see that your client cannot unsee what you're trying to explain to them, you have them.
Yeah.
Then you can start building.
Yeah.
Right. So step 1 is that. Then 2 and 3 is exactly what you said. You picked it up, and then step 4 is a spiritual shift, actually, into the art of surrender.
Tell me more.
So, high achievers are very egoistic people. They're people that are very internal. Their egos manage a lot of their lives because they're managed by their fears and their survival mode. They're usually very internal people. They don't really think about the impact they have, not from a perspective of they're bad people or anything. They just think of themselves first selfishly, and they cannot understand how their actions affect other people,
Yeah.
right? So it's learning that you're actually part of the collective,
Yeah.
that you're actually part of the universe, that you're actually, this is where faith comes, this is where all of these things come in.
Yeah.
In order for you to be able to understand where you are as a high performer and how you relate to the external world.
Yeah.
And how the external world relates to you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I found out really later in life that control comes from fear.
Yeah,
Right?
definitely.
And that's one of the characteristics of a high achiever is they always try to control everything.
Yeah.
Right? Internally, externally, marriage, children, businesses, everything. Right? And the art of surrender is the opposite of that. It's operating from a perspective where you understand that everything that you are exposed to or facing or happens to you or happens internally or externally is part of a grander scheme. And you're just a little
nuts.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. You have a very, very big impact on the collective.
Yeah.
Everybody does, spiritually, physically, mentally, you do, especially as a high performer and high achiever. Your voice casts a spell. Now we have social media. If you have a million followers or whatever, you say something on social media, it's literally like a spell now. Everybody follows you and everybody reveres you. So you have a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
An ethical responsibility.
Yeah.
And how can you know that ethical responsibility if you're not surrendering to your position as a collective?
Yeah.
One of the things I discovered, for example, which is something that I'm trying to create a shift with parenting, is that this aspect of high achievers can be dealt with at a very, very early age by allowing our kids do what they love.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't allowed to do what I love.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to pursue the things that I really wanted to do. And when I found something that I really loved, which was squash, at the age of 16, I was not allowed to do it anymore because I had to go to university and become an engineer or something like that, And so that was what I was expected of me. And then afterwards, when I found something I liked in university, then later on I was like, no, that's not a respectable job. You need to go find something else, So if we're able to create a platform for our children to surrender to what they love and to what they enjoy and what calls them, and I feel like our job as parents is to provide for them the opportunity and the safety for them to be able to explore these things. If we're able to do that, then surrender solves everything. Surrender is in every single spiritual calling and practice that there is. Our religion, Islam, is basically, that's what it means, surrendering to God. And if you're able to surrender to something much bigger than you, all the tension and all the depression and all the anxiety, that the fears of tomorrow, the fears of what's going to happen in the future, melt away. It goes hand in hand with cause and effect, actually, by the way.
It makes makes sense, actually.
So that shift for high performers and high achievers, that's the last kind of shift for a high achiever to become a high performer. And usually it's a very not so easy shift.
It's the last drop, but it's the hardest.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have the last question for you. As like athlete, high achiever, a person who's like very active and energetic and successful in your business and in helping others as well. You said that you have a beautiful daughter. What actually parenting taught you? We're talking about surrender.
That's an episode in itself.
I know.
So I teach something called conscious parenting, and it's something that I actually got introduced to before I even had a child. And I feel like a lot of parents are missing an opportunity with using a self-healing method through their children. I'll explain it. So there is an ancient Aztec philosophy that says that life is and your relationship are like mirrors. Okay, the two highest mirrors are the partner that you choose and your children. Your children are the highest mirror, and they're a reflection of all your internal conditions, right? And so just think about it. You see kids with their parents, and I know what that feels like. Child is 2 years old. They don't know anything. They drop something on the floor and the parent goes nuts, crazy, starts screaming and berating them, and God forbid, like beat up their kids and stuff like that. And so all of that stuff that comes out when you're parenting, all these triggers, we call them, they're an opportunity for you to learn about yourself, to grow. And so I use this methodology with my child where I'm constantly observing myself through her and all the triggers that come out. And once you do that, you start realizing that kids come into your life as a teacher. They're not
Absolutely.
They're not. You're not supposed to teach them anything. Actually, if you try to teach them something, you're gonna fail them.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna teach them what you think is right.
Yeah.
And you need to teach them from a perspective of surrender, actually. Yeah. Not to say that you don't need to create boundaries and safety around your boundaries and stuff like that, and values and things like that. But these are things that are taught through example.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Like not imposing yourself too much. Yeah.
Yes. You just need to, basically your mission as a parent is to slowly with time become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And help them see your path, and they will learn by observing you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah. So I guess you learned how to surrender through this parenting journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm learning surrender more and more every day. It's not it's not something that just kind of
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
There's always things that are pulling me outside, and there's still triggers with my daughter.
Yeah.
There's always stuff. I was telling you today, she made me realize that I messed up with something that she did. You know? She came back home with a certificate that said 65,000 words read. She's 8 years old. Amazing,
Amazing, yeah.
And I said, oh, what's the highest you're supposed to get? She's like, the highest certificate is 100,000.
Yeah.
And that's all I said.
Yeah.
But then that was 2 weeks ago. Today morning, I woke up and I was driving with her in the car, and she said, do you really think that 65,000 is not good enough?
Oh, wow. It hit.
I sat her down. I apologized to her, first of all. And I told her, listen, my father used to do this to me. I don't want to do this to you. I told her, whatever you do is amazing. And, if you want to get 100,000, I love you. If you don't, I love you even more.
That's amazing that you caught yourself.
Yeah, you have to.
Yes. Arsalan, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I am sure that our community is so interested right now and it wants to know maybe where they can actually find you. So if they want to maybe be coached by you, where they can find you?
I am at on Instagram, Arsalan.AlHashimi.
Yeah.
And our website is www.theascension.co. Don't judge it though. We're working on it at the moment, but you can reach me through these two.
Amazing. Guys, if you have any question for Arsalan, please let us know in the comment, and I'll see you guys on the next episode.